Welcome back from that short break. You're still watching Rush Hour with me, Darren Bartlett, and I have special guests in the house. And we've been talking about security, basically, for your money. I would love to put it that way because then it makes, to me, I understand it that way, but I also want you to understand it that way. What I'm trying to say here is that when you actually have a bank account and you're depositing money, you're saving your money in the bank, regardless whether it's a fixed deposit or whatever, as long as you're transacting with a bank, the most important thing is for you to be very certain that your money is safe. And on that can only be, or that is assured to you through the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, the agency that is, you said it's now 3 years now? Yeah.
Yes,
now,
3 years.
I think we're now going to the fourth.
Yeah, we're starting the fourth.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
they're starting the fourth year. It's very important for you to understand that. So whenever you're transacting money, don't even think about, just as long as you know that the bank that you're dealing with or an institution you're dealing with, microfinance, is regulated by the Bank of Uganda, and then it's okay for you to be rest assured that it will not close and your money will go with whatever in events that the bank has actually not been able to operate. And some of these things are caused by you yourself, depositors. And when I was interacting with, we were laughing about something, and something came up and said, what exactly happens if the bank has no debts, but you, the depositors, decide just because you had a rumor to go and withdraw all your money? So that means the bank collapses. And that's when I'll bring in Mrs. Julia. I get that right, finally.
Yeah.
If it's so hard, we shall go with Claire.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll go to Claire because I have a woman called Claire here. So
okay.
I'll go.
That's okay.
I think she's Claire.
Yes.
So what happens if, and how do you call, what is that term that you refer to in case people just go and withdraw money out of the bank? That could be one of the reasons why it collapses. So take us through what that exactly is.
Okay, thank you, Darren. The term that we use is called, we use the term bank run. Now, a bank run is a situation where you, the depositors, you maybe hear a rumor. Most times those are unfounded rumors saying that bank A or B is about to close. And therefore you all rush to the bank to try and get your deposits out, to get your money out. Now, this affects the bank because when banks receive deposits, they plan, and some of those deposits are given out as loans. Okay. So every day the bank is planning on its cash flow movements out, depending on the history, because we don't all go to the bank every day to get all our money. That is a rare circumstance. So they know that their depositors come in at different times to come and withdraw for school fees, for things at home, and so on. So the bank has planned its cash flow. Now, when you, the depositors, you decide that today, come rain or shine, I must get all my money, and you put pressure on the bank does not actually have the cash because most of that money has been lent out into loans, and that now strains the bank, and the bank can easily close if it doesn't get very fast assistance from probably the Bank of Uganda or other means. So therefore, the Deposit Protection Fund comes in to tell you that even if you hear a rumor, stay relaxed, because even if that bank closed, you'd get all your money, because 98% of you, the depositors, are covered fully by the 10 million. It means that 98% of you would be paid all your money. So in case of a rumor, stay calm. Don't rush to your bank, because if you rush to your bank and everybody rushes to their bank, we can have a collapse of that bank, and then it can affect financial sector stability. So the appeal from us is be confident that the DPF will pay you as fast as possible. But I also want to say, and to repeat what my colleague has said, we can't pay you very fast if you have not updated your details with your financial institution. So you have to go, give them your national ID, give them your alternative mode of payment, so that if your bank is closed, you don't have to walk anywhere. You'll just get the money on your mobile phone. If you had 5 million, we give you the 5 million. So please cooperate with us, depositors and Ugandans, so that we can ensure we're able to pay you if that unlikely event happens. Now, there's a reason that we say unlikely. It's because the Bank of Uganda has so many tools at its disposal to be able to resolve banks that are facing difficulties. So they can have mergers, they can have acquisitions, they can have purchase and assumptions. In those mechanisms, the DPF will not be called upon. Your deposit will just be transferred from Bank A to Bank B. However, we always have to be ready in case all those mechanisms fail and the Bank of Uganda tells us this bank is closing, organized to pay them. So I want to assure the public that the powers that be are monitoring the sector. The Bank of Uganda is always interested in the safety of the depositors' funds, and therefore it looks at ways of ensuring that even in a difficult situation, the depositor doesn't suffer. But that if it reaches a point where there's nothing else it can do, then the Deposit Protection Fund comes in. And even the Deposit Protection Fund has money to give you, so there are different safety mechanisms for your deposits. So put your deposits in an institution that is regulated.
Interesting one. Maybe just to add, to stamp and warn Ugandans about certain things. Ugandans have a tendency of being late. You know, they show up very late on certain issues. So don't wait to hear that the bank is closing and then you start rushing around to try and update your details. Why not do it now before you start hearing rumors, and then that process will be a little bit, I think, difficult actually, because if the bank is winding up or closing, who is going to pay attention to your updating of details? It will be very difficult. How about you just, one of those days when you go to the bank, you're going to transact deposit some money, or you're going to request for a loan, just take that time and use that very time to, update your details. I'm certain you will not stand in those very long queues, because there must be a customer care desk that you can use to update your details. And the beauty about some of these banks, again, they have online systems where you simply scan your ID and that information is carried forward. So don't wait for the last minute things and then be caught into such a situation. So I come to you, Mr. Balam. Yes. Is there a specific amount of money that a depositor should have to be entitled to not be entitled to the benefits that you will be giving them in case the bank is closed? Is there that specific amount?
Yes. The specific amount is actually up to 10 million Uganda shillings. That's the amount that the Deposit Protection Fund protects per depositor. Now, for example, I'll give an example. If you, Dallon, you have money in a certain bank A, and you have probably 3 accounts, and your accounts, you have probably 5 million. I'll just give an example of 5 million.
Yeah, okay.
I'll
take it from I'll be richer than that.
Yes, I know you are richer than that. Yeah. Now, if each of your accounts has 5 million shillings, and you have your name, and your name shows, the system shows actually that these are your accounts. As Deposit Protection Fund, we will look through your accounts, and then we'll have to pay you 10 million, just in the event that you don't have a loan with that bank, and this is per bank. Now, if you have another account in some other bank, and that bank is not affected, is not closed, we will still, the 10 million is per bank. But if you have all these 3 accounts within that bank, then we will only pay you. You have 15 million, but we will pay you up to 10 million. Now, the balance will be handled by the liquidator, who will be appointed by Bank of Uganda.
So you're saying that the liquidator is the one who will be responsible to pay
the balance of 5 of
the 10 million?
No, you have,
if I have 15 million,
you have 15 million.
So the liquidator will be responsible to pay me the 5 million.
They will process the 5 million for you, but Deposit Protection Fund will only protect up to 10 million. So you will get 10 million immediately if you have you don't have any encumbrance, the loans, then you will get up to 10 million. Now the balance, because you had 15 million before the bank was closed, Deposit Protection will pay up to 10 million. Now the balance will be paid through the liquidation process.
Let's go back to that payment thing, and I'll come to Mrs. Claire just to, for clarity purposes. I want my money now because your bank is closing. Is that how soon I can get it, or I have to wait and wait? How long does it take to get this money?
Okay. Darren, the law currently, the Financial Institutions Act, says that we have to pay you within 90 days. But we're working hard with head IT, Balam, to put in place the system that we're talking about so that we can pay you even in a shorter time. Our target is to pay, a bank is closed today, we pay tomorrow or 3 days after. We really want to make it as fast as possible. But we cannot be able to do this if the depositors haven't updated that information with their commercial banks or with their financial institutions. And therefore, to be able to pay, it is a tripartite between the DPF, the contributing institution, and you, the depositor. You must update that information. Otherwise, when that unlikely event takes place, will take more than 90 days because you first have to come, line up, we look at you, try to verify, try to find a way of paying you. Then we can tell you that we come after a certain time because we're still doing verification. But if we have your national ID, we have your alternative mode of payment, that 90 days we shall not reach. We'll pay you very fast, like 5 days or 7 days, depending on how fast we work together to put in place this IT system that we're talking about and have the information to be able to pay accurately and timely.
Oh, interesting information. I'm curious about something though. How do you determine how much an institution pays you to protect, or deposits made to the Deposit Protection Fund? I mean, how do you determine that Bank A is giving me this much, Bank B is giving me this much? Because I'm assuming if you landed on a bank that has so many customers, do you have the capacity to pay all of them, and how do you generate that money?
Okay, so you're asking a question of how we charge the premium. Remember that we
Yes.
explained to you that we charge a premium, annual premium.
Yeah.
So we look at the average of the deposits they held over the previous year, the last calendar year, that is 12 months. And then we get 0.2% of that, of their deposit base. And that is what they submit to us as premium.
Annually?
Yes, annually. They also have another premium that they submit to us, which is called a risk-adjusted premium. And that is an additional premium that they pay, especially for those financial institutions that are not doing as well as the others. Those institutions have some risk to the Deposit Protection Fund. Therefore, they pay a little bit more. They pay 0.1% and 0.2%, depending on their rating in terms of performance. So that is how we compute. It's mostly based on their deposit base because we're going to pay depositors.
What happens if they don't pay?
Oh no, all the contributing institutions pay.
I mean, it could fail.
No, if it
that
has
would be one
failed.
of the signs that it's actually going down.
Okay, if it failed to pay,
Yeah.
which doesn't really happen because the financial institutions know this obligation. They budget for it. They know that they have to pay. It is in very rare circumstances that they have failed to pay. And even when they fail to pay, we have penalties that we shall levy, and they don't want to pay those penalties. So if, from the best of my knowledge, most of them pay, and those who delay will pay still within a certain period of time, only that they would have to pay a certain penalty. So all the financial institutions regulated by Bank of Uganda, I can assure the public that they all pay the premiums and you're all protected as long as you're depositing with them.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I mean, as a bank, they could also fail to pay certain money. Maybe it doesn't happen. That would be interesting. So before I come to Bala, maybe I would want to also find the financial sector also benefit from the Deposit Protection Fund. How does it benefit in terms of stability? I don't know.
Okay, maybe I can chip in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, the public actually benefits from Deposit Protection Fund in that first of all, the confidence that we build in them to ensure that their deposits are protected is a great take on for the public, because we are here as Deposit Protection Fund. We exist to ensure that depositors' money is safe and they can get their money when the time comes for them to get it. So we build that confidence through the sensitization that now we are doing. Actually, we are sensitizing the masses, building that confidence in them. And also, we do actually do a lot of publication on. We have a website where our depositors can go and check if there is any information that they need. We have our website, and you can go to our depositors. You can go to www.dpf.or.ug.
Yeah. Maybe just to add on is that you remember the risk-adjusted premiums that I talked about,
yes,
which is like an additional that you pay, is because your performance has gone down. So because the banks don't like to pay it, they're always trying to up their game, and therefore when you have many banks that are all struggling to keep improving, you have a financial sector that is sound and strong. So that is another way in which the Deposit Protection Fund contributes to that financial sector stability.
Oh, okay. Now, just to understand, who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders in the Deposit Protection Fund here.
Yeah, the major stakeholder is you, of course, the depositor.
The ones who take the money. To the
Yes,
bank.
because you're the ones who are going to benefit from the Deposit Protection Fund ultimately. But one of our key stakeholders is the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, because they are part of the safety net. Bank of Uganda is very key. So the three of us, the DPF, Bank of Uganda, and the Ministry of Finance, are very key in ensuring financial sector stability, at least of the financial institutions that are regulated by the Bank of Uganda. But then we have other regulators, like we have IRA, Insurance Regulatory Authority, we have UMRA, Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority. We have the CMA. They are also regulating a part of the financial sector. So you see the financial sector has banks and it has other players. You have insurance, pension, UBRA, and so on. So we all come together. Actually, we have meetings as regulators and the Deposit Protection Fund every now and then to see how the whole financial sector is performing and see how we can improve on it. We prepare for crises just in case they happen at a certain point. So we're always coordinating. So those are our stakeholders locally here in Uganda. Internationally, we have the International Association of Deposit Insurers that we subscribe to. That is global. And then we have within Africa, we have the African Regional Committee, which is part of the IADI. We call it IADI, and we are very active members of that. So our stakeholders are not only local, they're also international.
Thank you so much, Madam Claire. There. Mr. Balam, there is one thing to be taking the money and putting in the bank because of the information we've had here, but there is another thing to be very sure. So how does the depositor then become very sure that I am protected by DPF? Because we all know, when people are transacting with banks, most of the times it's out of desperation or there's a need to. You come get a job, and then they ask you, they just tell you, no, you have to go through the bank. We are going to, you'll be paid through the bank. But is there that kind of information that you distribute to accounts or people, maybe email addresses that you communicate to them and say, now that you've signed up with a bank and you're receiving money through this bank, is there that surety that you also send out to people, maybe annually or anything like that, that your funds deposited, your deposits are protected by us? Or we just have to assume that since I'm in the bank, it's protected?
Okay, thank you, Darren. We, as Deposit Protection, actually we work hand in hand with the Bank of Uganda. We also work hand in hand with the banks and other contributing institutions. So we have provided things like flyers, handouts. We have put up some of our posters in the banks. So when you go to a bank and you don't see all this information, chances are that they are not protected. So you need you can even ask as a depositor, we request you can even find out, ask your banker whether where is DPF, because we should be visible in those banks and other contributing institutions. However, also, Darren, we do have information on our website. If you want to know whether your bank is actually regulated by Bank of Uganda, you could go to the Bank of Uganda website. You could also go to our DPF website. The information is there. Or you can also check on us. We have our line is open. We have our email, info@dpf.or.ug, which if you need information, we can always give you the information as our depositors.
Okay. Now, let me just ask us before we maybe you provide your parting shots, or maybe as you give us your parting shots, you could chip in this what I want to ask. Do you publish statements? Do you also do publish statements of how the deposit protection fund is performing in the newspapers? Because I've only seen banks do that. Because you mentioned about you invest in bonds and things like that. Do you also give us that kind of surety that yes, your money, this is how it's working? Are you mandated to do that?
Yes. Darren, thank you very much. Every year we publish our annual financial statements in the newspaper.
Yeah.
If you keep reading, you'll see those financial statements. We usually publish around January, February for the previous financial year. We also have our annual report on the website that he has talked about. And now that you're talking about financial statements, and you've talked about the financial statements of financial institutions that are published in the papers, I want to appeal to Ugandans to read those financial statements and study how your bank is performing. Because remember, and I haven't stated it here, deposit insurance is for the unsophisticated, uninformed, sort of like uneducated depositor. Someone who will just put their money in a bank because they saw bank. Or someone who will put their money in the bank just because someone else has put money in that same bank. They are not aware that banks have performance indicators. They are not aware of how to look at profits and so on, losses and so on. So all Ugandans need to start becoming conscious. Whenever the Bank of Uganda publishes that financial institution, read your bank and see, am I still comfortable with the performance of my bank? That is very important. And therefore, you who has more than the 10 million, that is information that can help you make certain decisions.
Okay.
Yes.
You can now give us your parting shots, because I had asked you to do.
Okay. My parting shots are: please go out there, update your customer information with your financial institution, bank with confidence, knowing that in the unlikely event that your bank is ever closed, which should not happen, but if it happens, you know that the Deposit Protection Fund will be standing by you. We shall stand by you to ensure that we pay you up to 10 million as fast as possible. But that speed, again, depends on you, the depositor. So please keep your money, get it out of the pillows, get it out of the pots, and take it to an institution that is regulated by Bank of Uganda or any other ambit of the government of Uganda.
Mr. Bala?
Yes, thank you, Adala. Mine is to encourage you, depositors, to update your account information. Go to the banks if you haven't. Go to your bank and provide the information, up-to-date information that requires you that will help us to make payments faster, to pay your deposits faster. So please go and update your information with your bankers. Yeah, I think that's.
To re-echo Bala's words, please don't be that guy who waits for when there is a crisis. If the economy probably, which we don't expect and we don't pray it happens, is not doing well and the bank decides to close, you'll be the last guy to start running around to be updating your information. I think it's very important for you when you find time, go to the bank, like I say, in case you want to go and, even if it's just an ATM and you know that you are actually at a branch, just find time and go into those banks, update your information, or call any of your bank's toll-free numbers and ask them, how do I update my information? I am so happy that some institutions, financial institutions, I still don't get to call it any financial institution, but I think it does, since it works with our money. All these things, they do them online. How about your bank, your home bank that you're using to how to update your products online. So I think it's very important for you to do that, so that when this time comes, we are not lining up on the streets. We don't know where to go, we don't know what to do, and so that we just get our money at the comfort. I mean, close, but my money comes on my mobile money. It's information that you all need to do. Thank you so much, Mrs. Clear. Thank you so much, Mr. Balam. It's been a pleasure to have you here. You've blessed me. You blessed me and said, I am going to have 10 million on my account. I hope when we walk out here, it's actually transferred to my account as we walk out here. We still continue with the rush hour. Just stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching.
Okay.